It says cigarettes contain anywhere from 8 milligrams of nicotine to up to 20 milligrams of nicotine.
8 to 20, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think reds are pretty much on the higher end of things. So
Yeah.
when you
Mm.
when you smoke a cigarette's worth of puffs off of your vape thing, that's not even going to give you 3 milligrams, right?
I don't know. Probably not. Is it? Okay.
Well, the thing is, I don't think I could switch to vaping because I miss the cigarette part of it. Like I miss the tobacco.
Sometimes I get cravings. Sometimes I get cravings still, but in the beginning it was hard. It was really hard for me to completely switch. I was always cheating and still smoking real cigarettes in between, but
When did you start smoking?
I started smoking when I was like 12 years old, so yeah. We were smoking pretty hardcore. I was smoking like up to 2, 3 packs a day. That's bad, really bad, and it
When
was
you
expensive.
when you were 12
Yeah.
years old?
Yeah, I started smoking when I was 12 years old. Really, I think the first time I tried a cigarette, I was 11. It's not good.
Did you have people around you who smoked? Were they easy to get or what?
Nope. My mom used to smoke, but I mean, when I was growing up, she wasn't a smoker. She had already quit, but no, I didn't live with anybody that smoked. My grandpa chewed tobacco, but
Did your
and
family
they bought
find
them for
out?
me. They bought them for me.
Your family bought them for you?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
strange.
yeah.
I mean, did they do that after you'd already become addicted to them?
I mean, I don't think I was really addicted at that point. I was kind of experimenting, and then, I mean, I guess I was, but yeah, I think it would have been easy to nip in the bud pretty, yeah, pretty quick had they not condoned it.
Why did they condone it?
I don't know. I don't know.
Have they
I really
offered
don't.
any explanation for that?
No.
Have you ever asked for an explanation for that?
Well, I mean, their reasoning was always, and they would let me smoke pot. Their reasoning was always just, well, yeah, they just wanted me to, not go out on the street and do it. They figured I was safer at home, so I don't know.
That's interesting. Do you care about that in retrospect? Do you think like that was not cool?
Yeah, it bothers me a lot. How old were you when you started smoking?
17. And I smoked from 17 to 21. I quit from 21 to 31. And then I started smoking again at 31. I've been smoking since.
Hmm.
So I smoked for 18 years total now.
You smoke more than a pack a day?
Probably. But I don't smoke 2 packs a day. Somewhere in between, I would guess. I used to smoke 2 packs a day when I first started smoking.
And you smoke the Marlboro Reds, right?
I do
Or lights?
now. Yeah, I do now. I used to smoke Camel Lights when I first started smoking. I mean, my very first cigarette was Marlboro Menthol, so then I switched to Camel Lights. I switched to
Yeah, my first cigarette was a menthol cigarette. Benson and Hedges.
Deluxe Ultralight 100s. I used to get those too. Vincent and Hedges Deluxe Ultralight 100s.
It was a 100, yeah. My very first cigarette. It was a Benson and Hedges 100. Was it your first cigarette too? Benson and Hedges? I knew yours was a menthol too, but yeah, I didn't know it was the same brand. It's weird.
I'm reading the things in the chat that are popping up as the superintendent of disruption does her thing, disrupting stuff. Uh, it's distracting me successfully. Regardless, I find cigarettes to be more addictive.
I think if you tried this, so I think if you tried this particular thing I have, this particular one, I think that, I mean, I guess you're kind of convinced that it's worse than cigarettes or worse than smoking, but
no,
I think you might be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily feel it's worse than smoking. I think that it feels worse than smoking to me.
Okay.
My lungs are more used to regular cigarettes. Like, it makes me cough more. Vaping makes me cough more than cigarettes do.
It could have been the particular like juice that you had. It could, because I've had some that really irritates my throat and makes it itchy and scratchy.
Yeah.
It might have been something that was in it or something. I don't know, but. Oh, I don't know.
Switch to a straight breathe in. Gone the same way. Straight quick.
Just close your eyes and pretend it's not happening. A move, Superintendent of Disruption? Is it a jutsu that one uses?
I need to record this thing.
Hi, Zack Attack. You've spent some time growing out
Hi.
the L beard. It's pretty good. That's pretty hearty.
About 2 years.
That's got a that's a meat-filled chili.
Need to trim.
Yeah, I need to go to the haircut.
A what?
I said it's a meat-filled chili, as they say, as opposed to just beans. I don't know if you're familiar.
What does
with
that
it.
mean?
Well, because there's the chili controversy, right? Does chili have beans in it or not? Do you have a position on that?
No.
Okay. Well, some people say chili should have beans in it, and some people say chili should only have meat in it. And regardless, that beard's impressive. I like it. Do you smoke cigarettes? Did anybody else smoke cigarettes? Who wants to chime in on the cigarette topic here?
Nah. I've never smoked.
Alleged superintendent, you say that you used to smoke but quit? Not no mo, says the superintendent. So what made you quit? Was it health reasons? I see. Unattractive. Yeah, there's a lot of people who say things like, no, hi. They say things like, no smokers allowed on Tinder. But that's around here too, because LA is very fussy about that kind of stuff. Very fussy. When I've tried to quit smoking in the past, unlike other things that I've tried to quit, smoking has proved exceedingly uncomfortable in a way that, like, quitting smoking weed is really easy. You just run out of weed. That's all. Quitting drinking was hard, but it was yes or no. It was on or off. It was binary. There wasn't any, there was temptation, but there wasn't a physical craving. But with cigarettes, when I tried to quit cigarettes, first of all, anyone around me during the quitting process is going to experience some harms for sure, because I tend to be very, very like fuck you, just a complete, I want, yeah. I get very upset like that about nothing. So that's the problem with quitting smoking. One problem with quitting smoking. Another problem with quitting smoking is the desire to smoke never truly goes away. Even a decade or so after you quit smoking, you'll still smell a cigarette. Somebody else will be smoking, and you'll go like, I kind of want that. That's annoying. You have to be disciplined forever. You can't ever have a weak moment. I can't hear you, Zach. I don't know if your mic's on or not.
I just said that sucks.
Well, I'm okay with smoking for the rest of my life. I might do something like go to vaping, like Michelle did, if I felt like I needed to for health reasons or something like that. I could conceivably try to moderate the mechanism, but to me, it was ill-advised to start smoking. But now that I'm addicted to nicotine, it's not worth the amount of baggage that goes along with quitting it for me right now. Anyway, it doesn't seem like. But I do have marijuana, which I believe to counteract the negative lung effects of cigarettes. So if you smoke cigarettes, it's bad for your lungs. But then if you smoke a lot of marijuana, that's good for your lungs, so it balances itself out and your lungs are okay. That's my theory. Some people may call bullshit on that, but I say, hey, your version of things is less convenient for me. How is pot better for your lungs? I don't know. It's magic. It is, though. It's true. I mean, look, my lungs are fine. I have a big lung capacity. Listen.
Somehow my teeth are. I went to the dentist today expecting them to say like, "Rah, rah, rah, rah." And they wanted to go. Rah, rah, rah. I've been in 6 years, but they said, as surprised as I am to say it, I'm pleasantly surprised with how well everything looks, how good everything looks. I'm like, yes.
See, that's what I mean by having good lungs because of the pot. Because the thing is, if cigarettes, what they do is they make your lungs less effective. They reduce your lung capacity, basically. But my lung capacity is still great. Now, why is it so good? Well, I believe it's because I pull a lot of bong rips. I pull bong rips all day, daily, and it helps my lungs to get the exercise of expanding wide open, filling with smoke, blowing that smoke out. But it's the good, gentle smoke of marijuana, not the harsh smoke of cigarettes. So it's like first the bad smoke comes in, does a little damage to the lungs, then the good smoke comes in, repairs that little damage, and leaves and goes off and does its thing.
I can't do either. Both of them are like harsh smoke to me.
Well, listen, I have done some testing on the subject, and it turns out Eric is completely right about this marijuana saving your lungs theory. Why, thanks, Shirtless Woodman. I'm really glad that you agree with me. I appreciate your You're doing the research as well. That's a lot of work. Yeah, well. Nick, you smoke. Are you worried about your lungs? Or did he leave? He might have left. Anybody else in here
No,
smoke? Oh,
no,
you're
I'm
there.
not.
Go ahead. No.
I'm not worried.
Why is it you're not worried about your lungs?
So I have 10 angels following me around at any given time.
10? So, do you feel as though you're somehow bulletproof?
Yeah.
Aren't you going to find some wood to knock on?
No, I don't need to. I got 10 angels, man.
Where did you get them from, do you think?
My ENT penis.
Oh, okay.
You just spouted from there.
All right. It's like a fountain of good fortune, huh?
And then I started praying, so I assumed that I got a little bit more added to it. But my angels are pretty buff, I think, so maybe they're like, you don't need them. But seriously, I read this, once I did my binge reading about ENTPs after finding out that's what I was, I read this one article of this guy writing about why ENTPs would make the worst ninjas ever. But he was he used to really, it was amazing how he wrote it, and his position was that ENTPs have 10 angels following them around at any given time to protect them from all the ridiculousness they get themselves into. It was a great metaphor.
I like it, but I'll tell you, my angels are indifferent to harms that I might not like a lot, but they don't think it's serious. They won't protect me from it. There's also there's a justice thing. If I push the envelope too far, they'll allow me to experience enough consequences to teach me the lesson. But no more than that. No more than that, though.
Yes.
Oh yeah, and we can't, our 10 angels can only handle so much. So if we rely on them, then they put us in check because they're like, you've already given us enough to work with.
Yeah. Even when you're trying your best, it's hard work. When you're not trying at all, it's almost impossible for us.
I've gotten myself out of ridiculous situations enough times to where it's like, all right, what is this? Why don't I fear consequences as much as I should, maybe? Or why did everybody, I don't even understand how this has been salvaged.
Right. Michelle, are you a Mountain Dew family? Personally, I never buy Mountain Dew.
Well, it's not good, I know, but
I don't think it's bad. I just don't like the taste of it.
well, I used to only drink Coke, and that was it. And then I did that for years and years, and then I finally got tired of it. I ended up with like kidney stones, and for some reason I thought it was the dark soda. And well, I know any kind of soda would be bad, and I know Mountain Dew's worse because it's got more caffeine and more sugar.
I like Mountain Dew.
Yeah. So I quit drinking Coke, and then I switched to Sprite for a while, and then I went to Mountain Dew. So I know it's worse than all of them, but
I don't think it's worse. I think if you like it, then that's the choice you should drink. Personally,
I've been trying to drink more water because I haven't my whole life really been much of a water drinker, and I know it's important, so I've been drinking a lot more water.
I don't know if it is important. I don't drink any water.
Like, I literally didn't really drink it at all. I mean, the only thing I would drink would be soda and coffee. So bad, so.
I drink soda and coffee almost exclusively now. When I was a kid, I drank water. I drink water and milk and stuff, My mom would give me milk. But I don't think you need any particular form of water. I mean, all these beverages we're talking about, they're all based on water.
Yeah, I know.
None of them are liquid something else. Yes, Nick, sorry. Go ahead.
Depends on what level of health you're trying to achieve and how active you are and stuff.
What if you want to get to level 10 health?
Lots of fucking water.
What level am I at?
Who knows? I don't know that I couldn't give an accurate number.
The scale doesn't go that high. 100 health.
Corn dogs.
I am healthier than everybody else's health combined. How does it feel all to be sickly compared to me?
Probably are healthier than I am.
Oh, the point is we're all equally healthy because none of us are sick.
Well,
No.
I guess.
That's ridiculous.
We're not all equally fit. We're all equally healthy. Health is
What's your definition of health?
the absence of sickness or disability or whatever, you know? Like
Yeah, but your current health dictates, the likelihood of such things.
Well, I'm not denying the positive, healthy, preventative impacts of smoking a lot of marijuana. Nobody's trying to dispute that, Nick.
Alleged superintendent of disruptive behavior.
I've deemed her. She's been titled. She is the superintendent of disruptive behavior. But of course, because she's the superintendent of disruptive behavior, she can't just call herself that. She's got to add something extra to it.
What does she add? All I see is the B.
She added alleged.
Oh.
Well, I mind not living past 50, LC. Are you giving me 5 more years before I should be satisfied with the entirety of my life? I want to live to at least 100. That seems fair. 100. Well, you better smoke a lot more weed then, Eric. Good idea, Sporthand. Good point.
You don't smoke cigarettes, do you, Nick? You smoke cigarettes?
Yes, I do. I was muted. Not a ton. Probably like 5 to 10 a day.
He smokes cigarettes and chews tobacco.
Yeah.
You also have the patch.
I also take intravenous shots of nicotine.
Finally, somebody's taking nicotine seriously.
There is actually a lot of nootropic benefits, neuroprotective benefits of nicotine. But I gotta add that I do smoke American spirits. Which was like, oh, you're justifying cigarettes. I've heard that before. And to that I say, yes, I am justifying the kind of cigarettes I smoke, which only has 2 ingredients, tobacco and natural menthol.
What kind are they?
American spirits.
Does that like technically counts as a vegetable, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought so.
Absolutely. It's herbal. It's herbal. See, Eric's cigarettes have like just all types of like embalming fluid and like just ridiculousness in it. Like 70 ingredients or something like that.
Yeah, that's where that excellent chemical bite comes from. See, that's the thing that other cigarettes don't have. They don't have that good chemical bite to the lungs that Marlboro Red has. It's just like, ugh, what chemical is that? Yeah, that's good. So yeah, I hate American spirits. Can't smoke the fucking things. They're awful.
Because they take, it takes some good lungs to handle.
Well, when I used to smoke American spirits because I thought I was cool when I did. But I would usually smoke like half of it and then smoke the other half later because they were like smoking a whole. That's a lot.
Yeah, it lasts like as long as 4 other cigarettes. Average cigarette contains over 4,000 chemicals, including 43 known cancer-causing compounds and 400 other toxins. I don't need that.
Are you sure you don't need that?
I'm pretty sure.
You might.
Nah. Therefore,
how would we know?
My
How would we falsify?
You can't. It's an absolute truth.
If I were to tell you, no,
keep getting.
Say again.
The doctor's like your business.
Please repeat yourself.
I said, keep smoking, keep getting sick. The doctor's like your business.
But I'm not getting sick.
I wasn't saying that because you smoke you get sick. I was saying I was just throwing it in there as well because.
Oh, an extra thing.
Yes, as well.
Okay. Well.
So, is it okay? Do you find it comfortable to know that you're smoking like ammonia, formaldehyde, cyanide, arsenic, DDT, things like that?
Well, first of all, I'm pretty sure I'm not smoking DDT. It's federally
Google says
banned.
I'm right.
Well, as far as I know, DDT is subject to a federal ban.
Well, it's Google's fault.
Okay. Regardless, I feel fine about it.
And now I'm craving a cigarette.
I mean, why wouldn't I be? I've smoked so many of these things.
Well, it's interesting that ENTPs, or just people in general, I'm not going to say ENTPs, people in general have this brilliant way of arguing or reasoning their negative habits. I mean, I shouldn't smoke cigarettes. I feel pretty strong about my argument as to why they're okay since it's American spirit, though. It's like.
Well, look, the thing is, I feel okay with it because we have to understand a couple of things. Number one, this behavior is often treated as though it were this behavior. Stabbing oneself. Oh my God, you can't possibly smoke. Another cigarette is going to take 10 minutes off your life. Blah, blah, blah. Except it's not equivalent.
Yeah, I think you're wrong.
But listen,
if you were to look at your lung right now, it'd be an eye opener. And if it was just slapped on the table and they said, "Would you look at it?" Oh, well, would you look at it? You'd be like, "Shoot."
I'd say, "Well, I feel fine," and you pull my lungs out, so I
compared to what?
Good.
Well, anytime anybody says they feel fine, it's like in comparison to what? What's your context? You're not feeling anything other than fine, so how can you honestly say you feel fine compared to healthy when you may not have healthy to be properly comparing it against?
Well, Nick, I mean, I know where I have discomfort and stuff like that, and I do experience some, primarily in the shoulders. Like, my shoulders get tense, my neck gets tense. Candace used to rub my back. I miss that. That's sad.
If you exercised 3 times a week and ate a healthier diet and things of that nature for a year, and then compared that sense of being compared to the sense of being now, it'd be a stark contrast to how your definition of "I feel fine" would be very different.
Well, I mean, I have been in that state before.
I don't believe so.
You're wrong. When I was in college, for example, a long time ago, granted, I was sober for a year, and I played basketball frequently, I surfed frequently, and I sat Zen meditation at the Zen temple in Santa Cruz.
If you remember what that felt like, which you don't because it's been so long ago.
I agree with you. I felt generally better. And I agree with you that the exercise, I've always agreed that exercise is an excellent, just general spiritual well-being thing to do. That when you're tired out from pushing hard in exercise and you're winded, that provides a clearing out of yeah from yourself, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you completely. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm
So
saying
you're not
is,
dying.
what I'm saying is this: people pretend as though the difference is substantial, and the difference is linear and it's curve. It's neither. It's minor and it's and it's curve. So you need a little bit of
Based on
exercise to
what?
get all the benefits. Everything else
Right,
is
but
extraneous.
in regards to smoking, what's your official position on that?
My official position is they're bad for you for a number of reasons. I can just sort of feel the poison. Okay, there's that. Intuitive seems like poison. There's additionally the fact that they cause emphysema, and that's bad. Now, the correlation between cigarette smoking and cancer compared to the general population may be statistically significant, but that doesn't mean that the average cigarette smoker is likely to get cancer. The vast majority of cigarette smokers don't get cancer.
Well, that's because the vast majority of people don't get cancer.
Well, I actually don't think that's super true if you consider like little skin cancers and stuff.
Well, if you're saying that you're more likely to get cancer because of cigarettes, then if cigarettes are cancer causing, and then that's the only argument that overruns the other argument.
No, it doesn't, because you have to look at the actual total impact. You can't just say, "Oh, well, the difference in difference in probability wins the point." You have to look at the significance of it as well, and the significance is low. What I'm saying is almost no non-smokers get lung cancer, almost no smokers get lung cancer, and almost all lung cancers are from industrial products, not cigarettes.
I don't know. Cigarette smoking is linked to about 80 to 90% of lung cancers. I think that's the only thing that needs to be talked about.
80 to 90% of lung cancers are from cigarette smoking.
Linked to.
Okay, then I mean, I need to know the methodology, because see, they always position shit like this, but it's not necessarily true. When you look into the methodology, it's almost always bullshit. Almost always. I haven't encountered anything that's not.
About 1 in 10 smokers will get lung cancer depending on how much they have smoked. About 1 in 3 smokers will die of a smoking-related illness.
Okay, but the way they define smoking-related illness is bullshit.
I understand that, but all you need to focus on is about 1 in 10 smokers will get lung cancer.
I don't believe the stat. I need to know the methodology. What's the methodology of that stat?
Do you think how likely is it that the real number is dramatically different than that?
I'll find it right now.
And there's a pretty good link to lung cancer from secondhand smoke. So it's also like murder. Murder.
It's not true again.
Because it doesn't feel good to be true, for it to be true.
No, what I'm telling you is, all right, let's see here. Let me see this.
I don't know, Hammy. I wasn't too interested in the.
Here we go. Cigarettes cause about 1 lung cancer death per 3 to 4 million cigarettes smoked, which explains why the scale of the epidemic is so large today. Cigarettes cause about 1.5 million deaths from lung cancer per year. That's a lot. I was surprised.
Yeah.
But I still don't know the methodology. I still don't know the methodology.
But you could say that about any of this.
But hey, why are you so ready to believe when you don't know the methodology either?
Because I've researched it enough to where I don't have to go back and be that scrupulous.
Have you actually looked into the methodology of these studies?
Yeah, I used to be super anal about that because I believed too much BS for a long time. I got pretty disgusted about it. So,
I want to see. I want to see. I want to see where they're getting these numbers from, because I bet that 1.5 million deaths is if you have lung cancer for whatever reason, and you ever smoked a cigarette, that's in that pool. Even if your lung cancer is mesothelioma and you got it from asbestos, for example. Right. If you smoked, it's going to be in that pool. But that's not what caused your lung cancer.
Well, you gotta know where to put these statistics. You're always going to have that margin of error or that
so much
causality issue. That's what you can do with any set of statistics.
Okay, but
any given time, any given sub for any certain claim. What I do look at is that the government's website has it on there. All these websites have it on there, and there's so much money in having it say something other. That if anything, that it's a misrepresentation of it in the other direction. Is how I would feel. I think it could go any way, and that you have to just take it for what it is at that point.
But let me point this out, and I think it's important.
And it's prolific.
Let me point this out. I think it's important. There is a strong impetus in society to find links between things that appear to be unhealthy, because society feels this compulsion to do something. So it looks for problems to nanny, right?
I understand that. And I also understand that you can look at this in a lot of different ways. So you can also take into consideration what is actually in the cigarette that they're talking about. And you can analyze these things. You can look at these things. Are they cancer-causing agents? Have they been shown to cause mutations in cells which cause cancer? And the answer to that is yes. And the question then is how many? How many are in there? And there's tons. There's lots. There's lots of them. There's lots of compounds in cigarettes that have been leaked directly it's studied under a microscope when introduced to a cell that they cause XYZ to happen. Right. And XYZ happens to be a cell mutation that causes cancer.
All right, but Nick, hold on. This is part of the problem with TI sometimes, is that it wants to section out from a larger system, a subsystem, and evaluate it as though it didn't have impacts to the larger system, nor was it impacted from the larger system. So that's why we can't isolate these things necessarily and conclude that they are carcinogenic necessarily. Some we know for sure, but what I'm saying is things in conjunction with each other behave differently than things in isolation, and especially when, here, let's fucking submerge this rat in 6 gallons of this chemical versus the 1/10 of a percent of a milligram in a cigarette.
That's true. And that's why you got to look at how many studies have been done on something, how well we know it, and that's fine. But to say that it's not important to look at the details and see how they correlate to the whole, and then.
All right. Well, I still haven't seen any good methodology. I'd like to see some. I want to see the actual numbers.
But what's that called in debate? Where?
Okay, Nick, let me give you an example of why we need to be careful with this link. Because of what? Do you believe that cigarettes cause throat cancer?
No. I don't have a stance on it.
Well, everybody was sure and said in no uncertain terms that it did cause throat cancer until, guess what? They discovered that it was actually caused by oral sex, which correlated strongly in terms of frequency with likelihood to smoke cigarettes.
I get what you're saying with that. With your points, I understand your points. I just think this is an issue that's more inclusive than that.
Okay, and yet we thought the same thing about the throat cancer before. We were quite sure that, oh yeah, there's a quite sure link, and everyone was behaving as though that were the case. Legislation was passed based on that sort of of information being presented as scientifically
What
very
legislation?
strong. I'm not saying specific legislation. I'm saying it
That's what you
functioned.
said.
No, but I'm saying legislation was passed based on scientific information. If you pass legislation about smoking, it's based on the information that's available at the time. It's presented. So if that is among that information, obviously it's going to be presented. So in other words, all I'm trying to establish here, Nick, is one simple thing. The stuff that you are behaving as though it's absolutely true, and Eric, you're crazy. That falsehood,
This is just fun. This is just-
Nick, that falsehood once had the same status as an argument as the arguments you're making. So be careful.
I
Be careful trying to
disagree.
put your weight on them, because
The pool
it
of
turns out to be
evidence is not
bullshit,
as-
right?
The pool of evidence was not as substantial.
And yet the narrative was just as certain. Okay? So, first of all, you're saying this narrative is certain and the pool of evidence is substantial, Eric. I'm saying, hold on. Let's not default to assuming it is legitimate. Okay? Because we have reason in the past to learn it's not legitimate. It used to be the coffee was unhealthy, then it was healthy, then it was unhealthy again.
I agree, but do you think cigarettes are cancer causing? Lung cancer?
I think they do correlate with an increased risk for lung cancer, sure. But I don't
So,
think
yeah.
it's the cigarettes alone that cause the cancer. I think you have to have certain predispositions. I think there should be there probably environmental factors. There's probably
Do you think
factors related
there's
to your
people-
emotional state of being.
Do you think there's people who get lung cancer that otherwise wouldn't have gotten lung cancer if they hadn't smoked?
Yes.
That's all. Okay. So we agree.
But my point is, it's of much smaller significance than the claims being made. If
Do you think those claims
let's
are
say you've got,
harmful?
okay, let's say you've got 2 million people who get lung cancer. And let's say that a much larger percentage of the population once tried smoking when they're 16, then doesn't say that. Okay? Let's just pretend. And I wouldn't be surprised if at least close to a majority of the population has at least tried a cigarette once. Now, if they're counting that as smokers, and we don't know if they are. Now, granted, I understand you could do this methodology challenge to anything, but the problem is I have an example right in front of us where it was established with the same sort of certainty as these arguments about the same topic, and it fell apart when we put weight on it. Why?
Right.
Why do we know that? Because now they actually have a cause. Before they had a correlation. Now they have a cause. Now we know cigarettes don't cause cancer because at least some of the time the person doesn't get lung cancer even though they smoked their whole life. Like my Aunt Sally. She was a smoking related death at 95 when she died of a stroke.
Do you think there is harm in the narrative of maybe if it's true that it's overplayed and that it doesn't have the level of risk that is implied? Do you think it is dangerous for that to be the narrative?
Well, I mean, sure.
Or do you think it's
Because,
beneficial?
well, look, Hami just said what I'm saying is a nonsensical argument. Now, this is part of the danger. He is so bought into the certainty with which an argument is presented that he can't even make sense of my perfectly logical argument. He thinks
No,
it's
I think it's
nonsense.
logical.
Well, I
But-
know, but this is part of the damage. When we don't challenge the perceived status quo in terms of ideation in the world, in terms of the marketplace of ideas, there are some ideas out there that are dominant ideas that are often bullshit. When we don't challenge those as a default, rather we teach people to accept them as a default, we end up with Hami who can't even make sense of something that's a perfectly logical argument. That's not
But-
good. That's a harm.
Well, here's some harms. Here's what we do know. Although 70% of smokers state their intention to quit, only 3 to 5% actually successful and are actually successful in doing so.
I will not
Yeah.
dispute the addictive part. I would not dispute the
Well,
addictive
what I'm
part.
saying is, we're always going to have cognitive biases, always. And this phenomenon that you're speaking on is always going to occur. It's just human nature. You and I do it with ourselves with different things, But with this one in particular, I see it as beneficial in a way because it's a deterrent. Regardless or not if it's overblown and if its causality is exaggerated. And regardless of the larger, assuming everything you said is true, the fact of the matter is that in its own is a deterrent, and that in its own is good because it prevents people from getting addicted, and it's going to prevent people from dying of cancer. They otherwise wouldn't have died.
Deterrence does not justify creating harms where there otherwise were none. So, as a civil matter,
creating harms. Hold on. But there would be more harms created if this wasn't the case.
Well,
based on everything you conceded to be true.
But deterrence through lying means I don't care. I mean, it's misinformation.
Well, it could be the way it's stated. It's the narrative you're saying, not necessarily information.
I mean, look. The harm is this notion that there's a public good. That's the harm, if there's any. That there's a we that can impose our preferred state of being upon others. It's a rejection of the other in a way that says, I do not understand your ontological equivalence to me. I do not subject myself to this others be nanny and tell me what to do and bust me when I don't follow the rules kind of shit. And yet I embrace the notion of doing so to others. I don't like it one bit.
So do you think murder should be?
No, well, okay, because that's rights violating, Nick.
I know. Let me find an equivalent. I knew you were a libertarian. I didn't know how libertarian you were.
Yeah, Eric. Woo!
Stop, please.
Now I know why he keeps you around, Abraham. All right, Abraham, every time that I'm in a squirrely argument or debate, at any given point where it's a good time to clap in order for just to give the right oomph, do so.
Filmed before a live studio audience.
Well done.
I mean, look, the point is, if you don't want to smoke, don't smoke. Fine. I don't like the whole.
Tell other people not to smoke.
Right. Stop raising taxes on cigarettes. Stop putting up billboards that say stop smoking. I mean,
do you want Delilah to smoke?
No, I'm not encouraging cigarette smoking.
But are you glad that it is discouraged? Would you be thankful that if possibly the discouragement of it ended up in her actually not smoking, as where otherwise she might have started smoking because her father smokes?
But the main reason I oppose smoking.
You gotta answer my question.
Yes, I agree with it, but the main reason I oppose smoking is that it is too expensive and pointless and expensive.
I had my own Abraham.
He's his own Abraham. It's too expensive, and so the thing is, if we didn't have what you're doing, we wouldn't have the problem that requires me to agree with you.
Oh, that's a well done thing you did there.
Yeah, it's my framework subsumes yours, like that. That's what that argument is basically. Look, I just gotta take these two to dinner. That's a good ending point. I like to end on a strong note. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for being here. That's great, you guys. Good job.
Fucking Eric, you need maintenance, dude. This place stings in my nose.
Alright, well, don't judge.
Ain't no one.
I'm not saying
Don't be judging your mom's face. Go get in the car. Go. I will find my keys.
Okay.
You find your keys. Sorry.
Don't be judging my mom's face. Don't be talking about your mom's face. Here they are. Now I have to pee.
You want to go now or?
Yeah, let's go to dinner now. I have to pee first, though. But then I'll be outside right away.
Alright. Mind if I pull a ball?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, you guys pull balls if you want. They're bringing on the desk. They're bringing a little plastic bag right there on the desk. Yeah, you just have to remind me that might be something you want to do. I just forget.
Key. You're not telling me twice. Oh shit. I lost it.
Oh, give me a light.
Oh, this thing has a. I don't know if this works.
Fuck, nigga. Say it. Let me get this up.
How does this work?
I don't know if whoever knew it would turn it on the goddamn self. Oh my god, really? Oh.
Ooh. Ooh. Nah, I'm good.
Since in the bag. It's not in there.
The what?
Guessing that's weed.
Pack this. Had this compelling conversation with Brooks yesterday.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What? But how
I'm
much
trying to-
like cheese?
I'm trying to like.
Here, I got a poker if you need.
I'm trying to fucking. I'm trying to get used to the idea of not being able to change the things I can't change. You know? Like I'm having a difficult time doing that.
You can't change the things you can't change.
You know?
So what can you change?
Take
Things
a
you
seat,
can't
dude.
change?
Just like
But I don't know how to use that.
I'm like Brooks went through the exact same shit I'm going through right now, which is like he worked for here I got you. He worked for James Logan after he graduated from there. He said that he was very underappreciative. He wasn't well paid, and then he said it was a lot of work. I'm only concerned about, okay, I'm experiencing all three, but I'm only concerned about the underappreciated part. And in simple terms, like, the team I have doesn't have like 5 to 10 committed individuals. It has like 2 or 3. But at the end of the conversation, I concluded that I'd much rather run with those 3 kids and get them into a fucking state final round or national final round or any fucking break round, final major tournament, and then, you know, move from there. Because right now I'm like, this is what I feel like. This may or may not be what is the reality of things. I feel like I'm a big fish in a little pond, right? And I want to jump out and fucking go to like other ponds, were like bigger schools with stricter rules and better teams and more dedicated people, so to speak. But I'm, let's say, you good?
Yeah.
I really mean, but you know, I'm hitting that wall, and it's a wall that I anticipated to hit, but in all honesty, it's just.
Well, the thing is, Abraham. Abraham. That's me imitating Abraham imitating me. Abraham. I've got a lighter in my pocket and it's super, super swell. It tastes like lighter fluid, yes it well. It should. I got my super cool hat and I'm ready to go. Yo, 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 yo. right, so let's talk about it tomorrow then. Are you available tomorrow during the day to assist with the calling of people? And
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah. I can do that.
all right. You guys want to pull more barn riffs?
What's up?
Do you want to pull more barn riffs?
I'm okay, thank you.
Abraham?
No, I'm good. I
Alright,
got a
cool.
script tonight. Gotta practice my piano.
Okay.
So, this can work in two ways. I can come here if there's something else you have to work on tomorrow, or I can do the phone call stuff.
I've
Like
got
home or something.
I'm gonna need to do a certain amount of phone call stuff myself, but I've got a breakfast meeting with my parent. Breakfast.
It's very thought-provoking.
Date.
It's interesting thinking about it though, because it's like
You gotta what?
this is the kind of thing where if I were to give you advice, it wouldn't be good advice because it's what's worked for me, and what works for me on this particular thing wouldn't necessarily work for you.
Like in person?
You'd be handling it in a calmer, nicer way.
Tomorrow?
Let's talk tomorrow.
just
after
scream
I
at
get
the
back from
person.
breakfast, we'll talk.
You know?
Figure it out.
Alright.
So like,
Yeah, there was some screaming with some things I dealt with, and that didn't go too well.
well, your strength is in your ability to be calm and nice. So you probably got to use your strength in some sort of way in order to address it best. Eric.
Hey, I'd point out that your other strength is that you have flashing lights. Most people don't. Gives you an advantage. They're going to be distracted. You can pop them right in the face. Pow!
Yeah.
Yeah, you could just whimsy him. You could just out whimsy him.
What are you guys talking
Eric-
about? I don't know how serious it is. I may have come in with the with jaunty lightheartedness inappropriately.
No,
No, that's fine.
So
Yeah, what Sarah said. I was trying to like figure out what am I talking about.
I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's the
Well, one of the things
unanswerable
we're talking
question.
Regarding upbringing on how it affects you during childhood. That was one of the points, but I think it's like trying to understand another person when there's like conflict or if they're negative or something like that, or if another person acts reactively to someone's behavior, you might take it the wrong way.
She wants to be able to get in there and explain it properly, like in judging and stuff like that.
Like, I feel like for some people, when they say stuff, they don't mean it always. It's not everyone, but certain people, when they say something, it's easy to say words for them, and it doesn't have any weight or meaning to them. But for, like, someone else, say this person's like an FI user, those words have extreme meaning and, like, very deep personal thing when the other person didn't mean it that deeply. So I try to explain to this person as like an FI user that this other person, they don't mean it like that, and they're not able to see your perspective that you take it personally. That's like one of the things. I'm not sure if that's clear.
It's an interesting point. I mean, I agree that FE users, at least from my perspective, words are cheap. I've got plenty of them inside of me, and I can make them come out of my mouth in an endless stream.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean I'm not careful with certain expressions and certain words. For sure, I am, and I'm careful as to what I say, in a sense that I try not to make too many claims. Depends on my mood a little bit, but I try not to make too many claims that I can't substantiate.
Well, think about her peer group too. I mean, she's 20, so you get an auntie.
Well, no, I have older people mixed in. Young people,
sure.
Old people.
Well, I guess I'm talking about somebody who's immature, period.
Yeah.
Which can be an old person. Eric, we have the
I hate immaturity.
Jessica. We have Jessica here who commented on the video you put about the Enneagram 358.
Hi, Jessica. Hi, Jessica. It's me, host Eric, and this guy. He's called Bong Poker. I'm Bong Poker. I poke Eric's bong. Like this.
enthralled by how informing this is.
Pya, pya. See? Now I'm bong poking. Now I'm not. So, what did you think about that video? I didn't read your comment yet. I just got home from Denny's. What was the comment, the gist of the comment, Jess?
Why don't you just read it?
I could. I was hoping to get her to talk about it, but if not...
Laziness.
No, she says. No, she will not speak of it. Okay, well, that's perfectly fine. Oh, no, Mike, you mean?
Oh, gotcha.
Right, well, I will read the comment then with my eyes instead of hearing it with my ears. Let's see. I'm going to go to functionality known as the dashboard.
Her comment was long and it gave a lot of talking points, which is why I said you should read it, just to be clear.
Okay, no problem. Oh, that Jessica. I remember you, Jessica. She says, I'm a 583. I relate to the opposition of the come on now people. I don't talk a lot about my ambitions openly to where people give me that, but I get frustrated when people don't believe in themselves. My thought in response to them is usually, did you even try? How do you know you can't go that far? I push myself to do things because I'm afraid I can't. If I can't do them, it means I can't reach my larger, loftier goals, which is probably 5 over a 3. Nick seems a lot more team-oriented than me. I don't know if it's because of personal experience or not, but it could be tri-type or MBTI related. Achieving goals with other people is icky to me. I'm achieving my own goals, and if someone is helpful and wants to help, I welcome them. If they don't, then they can get out of the way. I don't like it when I have to share goals with people, unless it just so happens that they align. I have a strong reaction when I feel like people are trying to take over my goals, and I start to feel like I don't have control over them. My 3 seems to have a strong 8-10. Hearing the differences between the two of you makes me wish we had ESTPs who share your tri-types to compare. Nick's 5 comes across more NI to me. That's a lot of good thoughts there. So, are you an INTJ, Jessica?
ISTP.
ISTP. Okay. So, do you feel as though, I mean, it sounds to me like you've got a fair amount of pyow pyow, and you're not that interested in the FE angle of things. So you put 5 first, 8 second. Interesting. So how does your having 3 in the third mean? Does it mean that you tend to get distracted by other stuff, or does it mean what? I don't know. My 3 in the third means I'm kind of iffy about achievement. I got to keep reminding myself. Patrick, you got any thoughts on tri-typing? Do you have a tri-type?
I think I'm a triple withdrawn.
That would be 514.
Some sort of 549, 954.
Okay.
Not that I don't have some of the other aspects too, but I've learned how to withdraw pretty well.
Hello, my name's.
What does withdrawal afford you?
Not sure. I think it was a reaction. It was like a survival reaction to in an environment that was always trying to convince me to do stuff I was not interested in doing.
How about you, Pepsi Maximus? You have a tray type?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know order, but just based on what I always score, like a 749. I don't know.
Does your tri-type have something to do with DJ R&D?
What? No.
You got distracted, Eric, from introducing the new guest properly.
Who's the new guest? Patrick?
No, Jess, she answered your question.
Oh, I got distracted. What she said, I achieved things for 5 reasons, I guess. The last thing I saw. Let's see if there's more. No, she didn't put the answer, what the 5 reasons are. Well, I was waiting for you to list the 5 reasons.
Gosh, you suck.
I achieved things for 5 reasons, I guess, is a thesis from which one expects to follow 5 reasons. Michelle, what do you get out of withdrawing? If you're a withdrawing type, apparently, as well. What does that provide for you?
I don't really know how to answer that, but I can be really with. I don't really know how to answer that. I don't know.
Okay, so Jessica informs me.
I guess I just avoid. I don't know. Just interacting with people because, like, it can be really uncomfortable for me, and I don't know. I just.
Is a state of withdrawal comfortable?
Not really.
Okay.
More comfortable than having to interact with people. Me. I don't know how to answer that question. I just sound like an idiot trying to answer it. So I don't know.
How you doing?
But I can be really, really withdrawn.
But you don't
Michelle,
want
do
to
you have any issues with depression at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Alright, let's go.
I was laughing at something else, by the way. I didn't laugh at depression. Just to be clear.
Alright, what's there?
What are you doing?
Oh, it's cute. They call him Host Eric in real life. Adorable.
Yeah.
Do not address me as Eric. Sit behind my blanket and call me Host Eric.
Gets all jealous. Shit.
See ya.
I like your style.
Well, I mean, what the fuck is he doing back there? He's like back there, like whispering something to Crystal about. I don't even know what the fuck. You know? Strongest to least strongest to deal with things. I do start with 5 and sit back and think, predict, try to prepare. When someone won't leave me alone, I do go to 8, but I'm not sure I get past 8 when dealing with people at least. Well, I mean, achievement as a general rule is supposed to keep keep at bay any conflict, as well as make sure that you're equipped with high self-esteem should conflict erupt, so you can battle it out from a position of strength rather than weakness, which is kind of important, you know. And yeah, that. So anyhow, I'm glad that we have people who actually are those types being able to watch it and go, oh, that's my tri-type. With 27 of them, there's a lot more to do of those videos when the mood is recording, and that's good. The thing is, I suspect there are certain tri-types that are much more common in the cognitive function community than other tri-types, just as there are certain MBTI types that are much more common in the cognitive function community than other MBTI types.
Kit Kat's tri-type.
What's your tri-type, Kit Kats?
I took the test like once or twice, and I got 478. I mean 479. I didn't really research into it too much though.
Same tri-type. Well, except for different order.
Damn, that's enough impetus to do something with that.
I'm a 479.
You're a 4792, Zach attack? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes,
Why don't we do a video on that type? What's it called? What's that tri-type called?
Yes.
It is called the Escapist.
I don't remember.
Escapist.
Yes, that one.
The Escapist? 479. The Gentle Spirit.
Gentle Spirit.
Oh, the Gentle Spirit. You guys are the Gentle Spirits. All right.
Usually.